So we were in a museum gift shop and we saw this cool little calendar. It's got a magnet in the ball and then around the outside, and then a magnet in there as well. So the ball seems to be floating. The only issue is that it was the same price as the museum, $50, and it was completely made of plastic. The backside of the ring was hollow, so you could just see inside of it. It looked ugly, felt ugly. It was a really cool concept. So I drew it up right here in SolidWorks just to get the dimensions, and that's what we're going to be making today.
Okay, so step one is going to be to cut the ring out. I'm just going to cut these squares out. The squares are just 11 inches. The outside diameter of the ring is going to be 9. The inside diameter is 7.4 inches. So let's cut them out. So the piece in between those two squares, I accidentally made the exact right width for the crossbar, so nice. Time to sand. Alright, so it's all sanded, nice and smooth. So since the side piece is going to come and kind of sit like that to index these two separate pieces together, I'm just going to drill a hole and put a screw, and then this, once it's on there, will end up covering it up. And so that'll just keep this in place, and then once that's in place, I can then make a small template for each of the magnets for the months, drill all the holes, glue the magnets in, put the other piece on there, glue the whole ring together. So made the template, 13 degrees in between it, holes a 1/4 inch away from the inside, and then I'm just going to drill this deep enough that the magnets fit in it, and then smack the other one on top of it. Alright, so we got all the holes drilled. Drilled them exactly the width of the magnet so that the magnet fits all the way in. So, and I'm just going to stick all the magnets in. Alright, all the magnets are in, but just for a proof of concept, I have a magnet in the end of one of the balls with some string. Obviously this is going to look a lot better, but just as a proof of concept. So we see right here that it floats. Alright, so now that we've got the magnets all in, just going to put a bunch of wood glue on it, put that screw back in it, and clamp it down and let that dry. It's all glued and clamped up, so that will go overnight. Now to cut this down to its exact dimensions and put the slot in it for it to sit there. So this is cut to the proper size now, which is 11 inches long, 1.5 inches wide, and then I have drawn out the slot that's going there, so we'll just cut the slot out now. So it is the next day, glue is all dried. Voila, a ring. So next step is to get a piece of metal, just a super thin sheet of metal, cut it out to match this. It will then be glued on the top of this, and since this is all plywood and the metal is going to be very thin, once it's painted, you shouldn't be able to tell that it's metal, and then the ball will be able to just stick straight onto the metal. And this sits very nicely over the screw like that, so you won't be able to see the screw at all. Glue this on, and then let's put a little dowel here. That'll be done besides painting. So I cut the metal down to just as thick as that little section there, and the whole length. This metal is about, I don't know, that thin. It's just the thinnest one I could find. Yeah, so I'm just going to super glue this down to the wood. got this super glued down to the wood. Now we're just going to paint this. Obviously you can do whatever color you want. We're going to do this section a like dark maroon, as well as the small dowel that holds the circle from spinning. And then the two balls are going to be metallic silver, and the ring is going to be black. So we're going to paint the ring black, paint this maroon, and then we'll make the balls. So the balls are just 16 millimeter wood beads. These have a hole pre-drilled in them. And then we're going to just drill that out to the 8 millimeter size of the magnets. I'm just going to drill it about just far enough down that the magnet it sits flush on the top, and then just fill the backside with super glue so there's not a hole once it's all painted. So we've got both the magnets glued into the balls. This one I haven't filled the hole yet because that's the one that the string's going to go into. This one is all filled, so once everything's completely dry, just sand that down a little bit and paint it. So yeah, for these magnets and also for the magnets that go in the ring, make sure that they're all facing the right way, because once it's in the ring, you're not getting it out. So just make sure that this side of the magnet attracts to the other magnets in the ring, and make sure that all the ones in the ring are facing the correct direction. So yeah, I'm just going to let these dry. Everything's in the process of being painted, and then once everything's painted, it's time to put it all together. Alright, so here we have it all painted up. That's glued on there as well. So now all that's left to do is glue this in place there, which I will do afterwards. The balls are all glued as well. That sticks there, and then this will go there, and the string attaches over here, and it floats. So next step is to write all the letters and numbers out, just 1 through 30 here, and then the months there. And we're using a little Sharpie paint pen, just the super fine one, just so it's still paint, but it should be nice and neat. So there is actually an in-between step between getting the letters done, and it's finding somebody who has decent handwriting. So that's the letters and the numbers all finished. So next step, it's going to flatten the center of this so that it glues nicely onto here, and then that's pretty much it. Also put a line down the middle of the ball just so that it actually like points to a specific date, because if you don't have that, it's not clearly obvious which date it's sitting on. So yeah, just do that. And then this will have to glue, and then final step is just finding exactly where to attach the string on the back side of the red piece so that it floats on each one and doesn't get stuck or doesn't fall off. Okay, so got a flat spot sanded down on that, and some of the paint sanded off there, so just gonna glue that onto there and clamp it down. Alright, so we got the foot all glued onto it, so it now stands up nicely, is sturdy, not going to fall over. So next step is to figure out exactly where center is for this, so that it is just a good distance away from every single side. And I'm going to attach it on the back side, like where it is here, just so there's nothing on the top, and it'll also be easier to adjust the positioning of the string if it's attached on the side rather than on the top. Okay, so that bottom dot there, that's exactly where the string is in the center, so I'm going to drill a very small hole there, and then basically just push the string inside of it with some glue, and that should hold it nicely. Alright, so drill the hole, put the string in, and glued it all in there. Also just kind of ran over it with a black Sharpie so it doesn't look bad. And so now we are suspended. So, flip it around, right direction,
that is the finished product. Let's see. So it is May 10th. Ta-da!